From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5:30, streaming now.
Now at 5:30, coming together to honor fallen law enforcement from across the state and their families. How the pandemic brought big changes to this year's event and how you can be part of it tomorrow. And paying full price for learning at home, a parent's frustration at footing the full bill for 2 college students who are not on campus. Lindsay.
At the top of our lineup today, not having a daily commute is saving some of us a lot of money during the pandemic. How that could play a significant role in reshaping part of our economy. And your airport experience could be changing for good because of COVID-19. Why we could see those long security lines go away. Live theater is still figuring out how it will be able to reopen amid the pandemic. The impact that theater workers are feeling now and the support that could get them back on stage.
Now first at 5:30, an opportunity to show your support and memorialize law enforcement officers who have died in the line of duty in Indiana. Tomorrow marks the 19th annual Cops Cycling for Survivors event. But like many events during the pandemic, it was postponed from July to September, and now major changes have been made to their plans. Typically, the cyclists ride 1,000 miles across the state in 13 days, visiting survivors. But this year, the event will happen in one day. Tomorrow, in 2019, there are 2 line-of-duty deaths in Indiana. Chief David Hewitt of the Rising Sun Police Department and Trooper Peter Bostefan with Indiana State Police.
We spend our nights on church floors and school floors because every penny that we raise goes to survivors rather than paying for hotels and meals and things like that. And we just knew it wasn't going to happen. We wanted to make sure that our survivors knew that they were not forgotten, and we always want to remember our fallen heroes. So the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy stepped up and offered us the Emergency Vehicle Operations track.
You are encouraged to come out for any amount of time this Saturday between 8:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. to ride alongside active and retired officers as well as survivors. Money raised goes to help memorialize officers killed in the line of duty and help the surviving family members and co-workers of those officers. Right now, they are only at 1/3 of the money they typically raise. Through our Hiring Hoosiers initiative, we have learned of more hiring events leading up to the opening of a new restaurant in Carmel. Lou Malnati's is holding 2 more hiring opportunities next week, this time at the new Carmel location. This will be the first Indiana restaurant for the legendary Chicago Deep Dish Pizzeria. It's set to open in October at 11435 Spring Mill Road, Suite 170. That's where hiring events will take place Tuesday and Thursday of next week from noon to 6 both days. For more info, look for this story at hiringhoosiers.com. Kyle, a beautiful day outside. I had to have lunch outside today just to soak it all in.
Yeah, I was going to say I could go for a little pizza or anything out on the patio this evening. Sound pretty good here as we go with a side of sunshine, low humidity, and very comfortable temperatures. Sunny skies there as we look across downtown Indianapolis. We've got a temperature of 77 degrees. Look at this humidity, though, really a non-factor at 31%, courtesy of this northwest breeze. So it is a little breezy if you're going to be sitting out there on the patio this evening or using the barbecue. Temperature 77 for you in Columbus, Muncie, 79 degrees in Lafayette. We look around Indy, though, we find those middle to upper 70s, 74 right now in Zionsville. All is nice and quiet on the radar and expect it to be that way for the majority of the holiday weekend and certainly right on through this evening. With those clear skies, temperatures do start to fall off a little bit here. We're into the middle 60s by 10 o'clock, right around 60 here at midnight. And as we go into the upcoming weekend, got some yard work to do, looking good to mow.
New projections on potential deaths from coronavirus are not encouraging. Take a look at this updated model from the University of Washington's Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation. It's predicting another 224,000 Americans could die by the end of this year. That red line shows if mandates continue easing, that number could be higher, but take a look at the green line. It suggests half of those lives could be saved with near universal mask use.
We don't want to see a repeat of the surges that we have seen following other holiday weekends.
The country's top infectious disease doctor is warning we are in a critical weekend for virus cases. There were surges after Memorial Day and 4th of July, due in part to large social and family gatherings, and Labor Day has the potential to do the same.
One of the things that I've seen people make a mistake with is they fool themselves about these pandemic pods, like it's okay for me to be around this other family and then we'll both be safe and then it'll be okay. We'll be like a household. But what many people don't realize is all these pods are basically interconnected. Very few people actually do that and really limit the interaction.
Another reason people get complacent with social distancing and mask wearing is because the people they're around look and act healthy. But infectious disease experts remind us 2/3 of transmission of the virus are from people who have no symptoms. Dr. Dean Blumberg says he's also seen outdoor gatherings start off with good intentions.
You start off 6 feet distance, but then when you're having a good time, people just naturally forget. And it's really with the larger social gatherings that this is more of a risk.
The other big concern with Labor Day gatherings is having virus surges heading into fall and winter. That's when infectious disease doctors say coronaviruses tend to spread the most and when flu season starts to ramp up. Also, with school back in session, there's the risk of shutting down or delaying opening in-person learning, depending on how people handle Labor Day. Still to come in our lineup, working from home during the pandemic has had a big impact for those of us with long commutes.
I think it's been huge. It's almost like getting a piece of life back.
But it's not just saving time, money too. How much experts estimate we've saved and how we're spending that money that could play a significant role in reshaping part of our economy.
Welcome back to the news at 5:30. As students head back to college this month, many of them will be doing their learning online, but they still have to pay full-time tuition along with parking and other campus fees. Consumer reporter John Mattery shows why a growing number of parents are not happy with that, so you don't waste your money.
College is looking very different this fall with many classes online and many students not even setting foot on campus. And that's left some frustrated parents asking, why don't we get a discount?
David Utz has not just one, but 2 students in college this September. But as he was writing out that big check, he wondered, why is he still paying so much?
They're charging them a mandatory recreation fee, a mandatory fee for food, and to get a parking pass again.
He has to buy each of his kids a parking permit at $150 each per semester. And he has to pay a rec center fee, $192 per student, even though they'll be home most of the time.
Jeremy only has 1 class in school that he has to show up for, and my daughter Jessica will start this semester and she only has 2 classes.
With tuition at many schools still at an all-time high, a lot of parents are starting to ask, why do we need to pay full-time fees for what's going to amount to part-time on-campus learning?
CNBC says 93% of students think they should get a discount for online study this fall. And some colleges are starting to lower fees. David thinks students should get at least a fee discount this year.
I think it should be prorated if you're going to do 1 class, and they should figure out a way to do the parking pass for 1 day a week.
You can ask, but right now most schools have not announced any fall discounts, so don't waste your money. I'm John Mattery, WRTV News.
Some workers have saved a lot of money during the pandemic, and that's thanks to many not having to commute. Alicia Nieves shows us how those savings are being put to good use by some workers.
From New York City to Billings, Montana, on average and in a normal year, people spend about 50 minutes commuting to and from work every day. But some...
Where I live is a little town called Paulsbo.
Like Raymond Kelly in Washington State, have for years had a much longer commute.
It was a little drive on both sides and a boat ride in the middle.
Every day, Kelly commuted from Paulsbo, Washington to Mukilteo for work, driving 30 minutes to park and catch a ferry. After a 30-minute ferry ride, he got into his second car parked on the other side of the Sound and then drove another 30 minutes to finally get to his job. In total, his commute was about 3 to 4 hours a day.
I don't miss the commute at all.
Now, though, this is where he works, a small office in his home just 2 or 3 minutes from bed.
I think it's been huge. It's almost like getting a piece of life back.
And it's definitely like getting money back. Kelly is saving at least $500 a month not commuting to work. And a survey done by a company called Upwork shows the average American has saved about $2,000 since March by not commuting to work.
The total savings since March comes out to $90 billion.
Adam Ozimek is the chief economist at Upwork.
In the long run, the money you save on this is going to be money that you spend elsewhere.
A new poll by the National Opinion Research Center shows Americans are putting the money saved on commuting towards savings and paying down debt at a faster rate than Americans did pre-pandemic. Long term, though, as more employers signal remote working as a more permanent way to work, economists believe the money saved on commuting will be put towards more people eating out and traveling, which would help industries struggling the most right now. As for Raymond Kelly, he's been spending his commute savings on home improvement projects.
My yard has never looked better.
I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
More in our lineup. The pandemic is forcing airports to rethink our travel experience. How everything from check-in to the security line could be changing for good. Many 2020 high school seniors who lost out on so much due to COVID cancellations are now trying to navigate a new life in college with the virus still front and center. But for some, overcoming obstacles is something they've done their entire lives. Students like Elizabeth Reyes. She battled homelessness, poverty, and stereotypes throughout high school.
My dad's in prison, so not having like my dad there was also very hard. I have like letters from him. I don't live with my mother. I live with my friend and her family. A Latina Native American woman, 9 times out of 10, you would think like you see it too often where they're like pregnant. I'm a first generation student to go to college.
About 1/3 of higher education students are the first in their family to attend college, according to the U.S. Department of Education. The racial justice movement is inspiring hope and change. 2 of the oldest hate-fighting and civil rights nonprofits are joining forces to build ties between Black and Jewish people.
You can't really fight one kind of hate unless you're going to fight all of them, right? So we can't be saying anti-Semitism is bad and not be engaged in this right now, this great movement to challenge systemic racism.
The Anti-Defamation League and National Urban League are kicking off the partnership in Philadelphia. They're starting a voting rights project trying to energize young voters. They're using young leaders from both groups to recruit younger poll workers and produce mailers and social media videos, encouraging people to exercise one of the greatest tools for change.
And we want to be able to give people accurate information and also help people hold each other accountable by having a voting plan, maybe having a buddy that they're going to text back and forth. Did you go to the polls? Did you request your ballot?
Philadelphia is just the start of this partnership for equality. They're looking at future projects to promote economic empowerment, equal access to justice, update hate crime laws, and address discrimination in housing and employment.
It's building on our shared histories as Blacks and Jews of having worked together, having both struggled in America, and also saying we want to not sit on that history. We want to build a new future together.
The partnership and focus come at a critical time for minorities, which tend to face more voter suppression.
Hello, Bloomington, and hello, sunshine all across central Indiana this afternoon. Nice to see some brighter conditions for much of the week, though. We had those cloudy skies, and of course, we're heading into the big holiday weekend, so let's get right into that forecast for you. Temperatures not bad here. Going to be a little warmer than what we had this afternoon, gradually warming through the lower to middle 80s as time goes along. Sunshine Saturday, a few more clouds on Sunday, and a small chance for a shower or storm on Monday. But as we start things off Saturday morning, very comfortable. May need the jacket here just a little bit. 55 in Lafayette, Indy, and Muncie Saturday morning. 54 in the Columbus area. And as we look at your Saturday forecast here, we're going to keep those sunny skies going and temperatures that will make their way into the middle 70s already at noon. Afternoon temperatures that are going to get right around 80 degrees, about where we should be. 82 for you Saturday in Bloomington, Columbus, and Greenwood. Around 80 in Lafayette and Muncie, and upper 70s to around 80 degrees in Kokomo. So feeling pretty good out there. As we look at TrueCast, this is Sunday afternoon. There's a few more of those clouds around, but the rain chances staying out of here. As we get into the middle of the day on Monday, trying to bring in a couple of showers, isolated thunderstorms with the first of a couple of fronts. But right now, we'll cap that rain chance at only about 20%. So here's a look at the next few days as we put it all together in the 7-day planning forecast. 86 for you there on Tuesday. Another low chance for rain before they ramp up a little bit heading toward Wednesday and Thursday. Lindsay?
More officers have died from COVID-19 this year than from any other cause in the line of duty. It's according to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund. The latest numbers show more than 100 officers in states and federal agencies have died from the virus.
With COVID, not only are they putting their lives on the line, they're taking it home to their families. And some law enforcement officers aren't going home to their families if they feel as though they've been infected.
That's the group's CEO, Marcia Ferranto. She says many of those who have died are correctional officers in overcrowded prisons. Other law enforcement officers are still putting themselves in high-risk situations every day by responding to large gatherings or 911 calls where they don't know it's a COVID-19 situation. The organization hopes its Destination Zero project may help lessen the impact of the virus. It acts as a collection of best practices from departments and agencies.
It's not just enough to report out on line of duty deaths. One of our pillars is around officer safety and wellness.
The group uses a stringent review process. If it's determined the officer died after exposure to the virus while performing official duties, they will be included in the memorial. Security lines and close human interaction at airports could be a thing of the past. With the travel industry determined to get people flying again, experts tell Amanda Brandeis that the motivation to innovate is in overdrive. And for once, it might be the passengers who feel some comfort.
Airports have a way of fueling anxiety. One misstep can send even the most seasoned travelers into new heights of annoyance. Could it ever be an experience we actually look forward to?
No idea is too crazy, right?
Justin Urbachi is CEO of Los Angeles World Airports. The innovations that land in your airport are usually tested here at LAX first.
We're using this as a platform to help push through a lot of the things that we already knew we wanted to push through, but there wasn't the interest or the buy-in from government agencies or the industry.
Now the industry is hearing customer complaints loud and clear, looking to revolutionize the airport experience.
The goal for us is to allow people to come through the airport and not have to see anyone and be able to serve themselves throughout their whole process.
The first leg of your airport journey could look something like this. A touchless kiosk you can operate with your smartphone to check in.
And then I'm going to hit send.
Checking luggage, this self-service system takes your bags without the need for an agent.
You know, a lot of things that are standard today seem crazy when we first heard about them.
On to security, long lines heading to a TSA agent could also go away. Instead, passengers could be screened with biometric facial recognition technology. It's already a reality at Dubai's International Smart Tunnel, which the government says gets travelers through passport control in 15 seconds.
All the surveys that we've done, people are very willing to consent to give up their identity aspects to get through the process faster.
And carry-on bags could be screened with remotely operated X-ray machines. While a completely self-service experience is likely several years away, changes are being implemented now to improve TSA screenings.
We have new technology that has been rolled out at dozens of airports across the country that allows the traveler to insert their ID or to scan their own passport.
Lori Danker says the agency is looking at innovations being used around the world.
You can't think that we're going to be able to recover from an unprecedented situation by using old methods and means. We have to change.
In Los Angeles, I'm Amanda Brandeis reporting.
Still ahead in our lineup, theater workers making a plea to save our stages, how new legislation could get them back in the act. Businesses still reeling from the economic shutdown that came with the pandemic. New proposed legislation hopes to provide some relief to the performing arts. Senators John Cornyn of Texas and Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota proposed the Save Our Stages Act. Community theaters say a bill could provide a much-needed lifeline for when they can hopefully reopen.
We shut down in March 15th, and we thought initially it was going to be a couple weeks long, maybe a month or so. And now we're looking at the earliest for us to restart our full productions wouldn't be until January.
Here's what the Save Our Stages Act does. It allows the Small Business Administration to award grants to eligible venue operators, promoters, producers, and talent reps. An initial grant of up to $12 million would be used for costs between March 1st through the end of the year. A supplemental grant is possible to help cover payroll, rent, and utilities through June of 2021. That money will help places like the Arizona Broadway Theater, whose CEO says it's already evaluating what its business will look like when it reopens.
How many different hats are we all going to end up wearing when this is over? How many hats can you wear? If you are a fantastic performer, but you also know a few things about, costumes, would you be able to help us out in that so that we can put together, more meaningful full-time employment for you once we do restart?
The Save Our Stages Act defines a live venue as a place with a defined performance and audience space, also a public addressing system and lighting rig. It must sell tickets or require a cover charge, and events must be marketed with tickets available at least 60 days in advance. The Arizona Broadway Theater says its performers are not contract workers, they're employees. That means many collected in unemployment. But when the $600 a week supplement expired, many of them started to rethink their careers moving forward. Save Our Stages Act was introduced on the Senate floor, but has not yet gone to a full vote. Sports and music concerts are still on hold. Monday, we'll look at what it will take for us to be able to get back to these activities and how new technology might make them safer.
Some cool mornings this weekend, but those afternoons are going to start to warm up here, especially by Monday. We're at 85 degrees, middle 80s again on Tuesday. Between now and then, the rain chances are fairly low. Gets to about 30% by Wednesday, and some cooler air, a fall feel for the end of the week. Thanks for joining us at 5:30. The news at 6.